Welcome to Trading Lounge and the US indices, and starting with the SP 500 on the hourly chart. And we have a completion of 5 waves down from this last high here at the 2800, which is a minor trading level. So so moving down through to here with this last move down through to here, we have 5 waves here. So we can look at it like this, as an A and a B and a C, which would take us back to the 2700 mark, to the to this previous high here, just above the 2720 in this particular space here, and it can fail from this point. Okay, so the main point here is that we have 5 waves completed to this point, so we can look at an A, B, C to this point, to the wave 4 of 1 lesser degree here, or even a tad higher, but around the 27 area here. Now, in terms of the trading levels, they can also come in handy as well, because if this market moves up here and develops support on the 2730 area here, then we're going to be going higher up from that point. Okay, so a nice tested support on 2730 would be an indication that we would be moving higher from that stage. Okay, so it needs that retest there after it's got its first high in above the level. So yeah, in a nutshell, just to recap this, we can either move into this space and move down. There'll be a reaction here anyway, because it was the support here and then resistance all the way through here. So it's going to hesitate in this space here, as such. So if the market moves back down below the 27.26 50 area here, and then you can continue on shorting. So the strategy is, if this low gets taken out, continue to short lower. Otherwise, we'll look at this as an A and a B and a C up into the 2700 mark, and then moving down from that point. If this market finds support on the 2730, which is the top of subgroup 1 in regards to the trading levels, then we know that the market's going to move higher. And I kind of want to investigate this little area here as well, going higher. It may not be the case, but we need to be prepared for that. And what I want to do here is, first of all, let's just go to the daily chart here. And with the daily chart here, as you know, we've been talking about different wave structures here. And I think that it's okay to have different counts in this large degree of structure. And I mean, I've always found it quite dangerous to get fixed on one particular count. I mean, at the end of the day, we take trades based on trading signals, or we take them on confidence on a particular setup that we see. So even though that we don't know what the count is 100%, it still enables us to be able to work smaller degrees of wave structures. And that's where the focus should be. But it's okay to discuss the larger count and you know, discuss counts, various counts on that, and we have done that. So we've done it with a possible top in play here with wave 3 here, a triangle pattern which would come to this point here for wave 4, and then looking at 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and then the last 5 waves up here. It does look like wave 3 is short here, but it's actually longer than the next wave structure here of 5 waves going into the last area here. So it's not the shortest wave in the structure, so it's possible. I don't think it's the case, but it's something that we can put on the table. It's not the end of the world, so to speak. The other count is that we are looking at wave 3 over here, an A wave, a B wave, and a C wave down to this point here. So it does count okay as 5 waves down to this particular point here. And in fact, a lot of the other markets around the world count in this particular fashion as well. So one of the things that I wanted to have a look at was the Nikkei. I know that it's on the other side of the world, but you know, a lot of the markets around the world are pretty much doing the same sort of things. So with the Nikkei here, we can clearly see that we have a move down here, which we can call wave A to here, with a little A, B, and C here to finish this off here, and then an A wave and a triangle in B wave and 5 waves up for C. So this is really quite the case of having this labeled as a B wave up here. And you can also see how low it's come back down here now as well. And we've been counting 5 waves down here. And what I wanted to point out is that on this current low here, we should have a low in place here for this. We should have 5 waves. This should be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 moving down here. I won't go into that in detail, but that's for the Asian video. So in that case, we could actually call this an A and a B and a C wave here for wave 4 and be completed on this point here. Yeah, we could be going into a big triangle pattern, a larger triangle pattern, and we can talk about that with the US markets. So with this here too, we could also count this 5 waves down as wave 1 and back for wave 2. And then wave 3, 4, and 5. So that's also possible as well. But one of the main points here is that this particular move down through here on all the markets around the world, does count down as quite nicely as 5 waves. In the US, we have kind of given a bit of a push into having 5 waves to this particular point as wave 1 and wave 2 here. And coming down for a wave 3 down here, still continuing to the downside. We'll look at that in a moment, but I just wanted to show you around the globe a little bit. And also India is a big market as well, of course. So here with its correction, it's also dropped down nicely and low here. So an A wave here, more of a subtle B wave in this particular instance here, and then 5 waves up for the C wave here. And I'm in Australia, and we've got the same thing as well, but it's even more subtler in the ASX 200 here. So, when we look at the Nikkei here having a very clear ABC, it really helps us identify that as a wave B. And even though like India here is quite subtle, we can look at it the same way. And even the Dow Jones here as well. So once you've got those other pictures in mind, you can kind of see the same thing here. So this counts nicely as 1 and 2 and nice strong 3rd wave, 4th wave and 5th wave with a low in it here as well. So of course this could turn into a larger, we've got this line coming through here. We could have this as a triangle pattern coming through here as well. But we could also be finished here as well on this low here. But in either case, in a lot of these indices, we'll probably see moves up in one way or another to the 61.8% mark. And one of the interesting things about this, if it's going to be a corrective wave up, this little box is important, because what I normally find is that we'll either get 3 waves to there or we'll get 5 waves to there. And of course, if we get 5 waves to the box, then we know that we're going to get a corrective move back and we'll be heading up higher from that point. If we get 3 waves to the box, well, then we know we're going to be corrective and we're coming down again, which is possible as well. But my video today was really just to point out that you don't have to be a great Elliott counter to see that this is 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 here, and then 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 here. So we are on this particular low here. I don't know if I've got this counted on the 4-hour chart here. Okay, here it is here. So on the S&P, the wave 4 came up quite higher than 38.2. But on the S&P, it didn't really reach the 61.8% retracement level. So this is a reasonable count. But like I said, the main point today is that I'm just here to tell you that it does appear that we have 5 waves to this area here. It is possible that we can have an ABC pattern back up into these spaces here and then drop. Okay, but it's also possible for this market to move up higher. So with the S&P at 2,700 and the DJ here at 25,000, which is the medium level, if it develops a nice support here, well, then we're going to have to be looking higher from this point. Okay, so I'm going to go back to the S&P at this particular point here. So with the S&P here, I did have this, and it still could be this is wave 1 here, and wave 2 here. But when I look at the rest of the world, and this would leave wave 3 still open, so that means that this would come up to the 2700 and continue to move down here. So the 2700 is important, but on a more subtle level, the 2730 would be a catalyst for separating the order flow back onto the 2700 and lifting it higher to the 2750. So yeah, that's there. It's still also possible to, you know, have this triangle pattern occurring as well, and if that was going to be the case, then we would need to look at this as an A wave here, a B wave up here, and a C wave down here further for this C wave, and then a D wave up here. It's possible to also call this down here as the A wave here, the B wave here, and the C wave here for wave C, and still leave us with the D wave back up here. It's not going to make any difference because we'll still get to that within due course. You know, if that's going to move to there in 3 waves, we'll know what it is, either that or wave 2 at that particular point. So yeah, a little bit confusing, I know, but we still need to work through these counts. So, but just to go back in this space, this is the possible triangle pattern that can play out. But anyway, today's video is just really to point out there was a low in here, and comparing this particular pattern to the rest of the world, the other side of the world, the Asian markets, and also looking at the Asian markets in comparison to the S&P 500 in terms of this larger count coming in here on the daily chart here. Looking at it, you know, looking at the guts of the middle of this here, and it's quite clear, as I mentioned, the Nikkei, that we've got that sort of ABC pattern within here, and we can reach that too with this market. So the NASDAQ is pretty much the same with everything as well, but let me just have, so just on the 1 hour chart from I've just got it as a B and a C here, but it can be 3 and 4 and 5 here as well. But the main point here is that is the internal structure of what we do know, and I have lifted this up one degree of structure, but we've still got the same count here. So we've got 5 waves down. I thought we might be coming a little bit lower into the 65 here, but that's not the case. So this little pattern within here, so I think it's a good idea to protect any short trades we've got by putting a stop in this place here, but you could also go long here as well. And if I can just go to the tick chart for a moment here, the 6/8 is a really important number here. So what we can see here, apart from this spike here, is that the market has come up to this level here, it's reacted to it, and now it's developing it as support. So if you're going to go long from this point, we can go long on this top here. If this continues to drop here, I can't basically draw on this side of the tick chart, unfortunately, but and I'll just remove that while I'm here. Yeah, so yeah, buy new highs, or use the sub levels in this case, which we've got 10, 20 and 30. So if you get a tested support on 30 or take up this top here, then you can go long from that point. Otherwise, this will have a larger correction within this space here, and you may be able to get a better setup from that particular point. But this is the closest largest number, and it's the most important one. And we've gone from being resistant. It's just basically migrating from resistance to support. So that will continue it to the upside. Alrighty, thanks for tuning in. Much appreciated. Cheers.